Louis Caldwell, wildlife artist. Welcome to 33. "33 is an effort to raise funds and awareness to help the African elephant through African Wildlife Trust. "33 begins with my first trip to Tanzania, Africa in November of 2012. I was invited by my friends and fellow artists Jan Martin McGuire and James Hines to accompany them to Tarangire National Park, which is in Tanzania just outside of Arusha. I knew the trip would be life-changing and career-changing, but had no idea to what extent. While I was there, I got to witness animals in their natural habitat, see actual muscle tone, how they interact with their environment, and how they interact with each other. On the second evening of my trip there, I was sitting in the lounge with Jan and James, and I was introduced to Pratik Patel, the CEO and founder of African Wildlife Trust. Just thinking it was going to be a nice casual evening, sitting around and talking to friends, enjoying just good times there, he relayed to me the devastating fact that 33 elephants are killed for their ivory in Tanzania alone. This is the aha moment that happened when I was in the lounge area, when Pratik told me that 33 of these elephants a day, and then he preceded that with the fact that in 1930 there was millions and millions of elephants in Africa, and then come to today's time and reduce that by 99%. To give you the actual figure, it's 450,000 elephants are left in all of Africa. But in Tanzania alone, 33 of them are killed. So to start thinking about that and putting it in perspective of us humans, you take the area, let's say for Virginia, take Virginia and take the population of what it was in 1930, reduce it by 99%, and that's what we have left. And then 33 of them are killed a day. That statistic, we cannot sustain a population. That alone, that floored me. And I just looked at Pratik and was like, we can't sustain, the elephant population cannot sustain, that their birth rate's not enough. We will lose the African elephant in our time. And he just looked at me and said, yeah, and we've got to do something about it. And that's just that, and that was on the second night. I mean, the rest of the trip, I'm looking at elephants completely different. Listening to them talk to you, and it was amazing, but then saddened at the same time. So, what is Pratik and African Wildlife Trust doing that's different? It's I'm new to this. I had no idea. Being here in the States, we're sheltered. Things are different. I didn't really realize what was going on until I got there. Pratik, he lives there. He was born there. He sees it every day, and that came across in his conversation to me. You see his passion, how important it was. So for me to jump on board and help African Wildlife Trust, to help Pratik, the reason I'm doing this is I met the man. I saw he was extremely passionate about the elephant and just the wildlife of Africa to begin with, and most importantly, just the African way of life. So if somebody else had approached me, I don't know if I would be doing the same thing. It's a personal relationship of knowing the person who was there, who's doing this. The man's been using his own money to hire airplanes and rangers to go out and fly over Tanzania areas to monitor the poaching, to help capture, to really, most importantly, gather intelligence so that he can take that to the authorities and help. And then the other aspect that he's trying to do is, and I think this is really important, is just raising money to help fund education about the elephant. They're killed for their ivory. They're killed for their ivory for a certain reason, because they make trinkets and religious elements out of them, and there's a certain aspect that people think that the tusks drop, and they don't. They keep them forever until they die. So you have to educate the public, the world, that to get ivory, the elephant has to die. It does not just drop. So there's a certain people that think they just drop. So we have to educate everybody else that this does not happen. And education is a big part of that. 33, the drawing, came from my photo reference the next morning after the meeting with Pratik. During the morning game drive, probably about 7 a.m., actually it could have been 6:30 a.m., we were driving through Tarrangere and saw a bunch of elephants off in the distance, and we pulled up close to them and stopped. They were coming from our left side, moving across the savannah to the right side, and over on the right side was a very nice baobab tree. The light was hitting it just nice, the morning light coming through the branches, and we just sat there and we were hoping that they would come down, and some of them would pass in front and some would pass in front, and I mean pass in behind and some pass in front. Thankfully they did. From the elephants that morning, it made sense to me to use them as a reference for the 33 drawing, the 33 project, because I had learned about that devastating statistic the night before. So the first elephants I saw the morning after represent the 33 elephants from my drawing. From the time I got back till probably 4 or 5 weeks ago, an idea of trying to help the African elephant, it took many forms. And honestly, it wasn't until Russ Randall, the video producer at Final Act Drama, we were sitting around a fire and we were talking about stuff, and Russ has been talking to me about collaborating together and doing a time-lapse video. And honestly, I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool, we can do that. And then Russ said, we can do a story, we can do a voice overlay. And immediately I was like, wow, we could do something about the elephants. And I was getting ready to start the drawing 33, which wasn't titled 33 at that point in time. But again, it just, the idea started meshing together, coming together, and basically by the time the fire died, we had the 33 project to help the African elephant. So what is African Wildlife Trust? African Wildlife Trust starts with Pratik Patel. The African Wildlife Trust is unique from other non-government organizations in that Pratik Patel was born and raised in Tanzania. He played barefoot in the bush with Grub, Jane Goodall's son. African Wildlife Trust's mission is to provide professional assistance in protecting the Africa's endangered wildlife by means of specialized anti-poaching support units and intelligent-led operations. AWT's aim is to enter in the communications with African governments and other appropriate partners to take action against poaching, facilitate the transfer of anti-poaching intelligence, encourage private investors committed to conservation, and assist NGOs and foundations in educating the communities depending on wildlife to sustain their operations and livelihoods. When we give to African Wildlife Trust, we are making a difference, allowing African wildlife support teams to use training skills, equipment, knowledge, manpower, and technology to sustain dedicated anti-poaching in areas with insufficient resources to protect the wildlife effectively. Together, we will protect Africa's endangered wildlife. Asante sana Rafiki. Thank you, friend.